Right now, it might feel as if life has gone strangely quiet, as if the universe itself stopped answering back. The plans you built so carefully no longer move forward. Opportunities slip through your hands, and the doors you expected to open keep shutting without explanation. The silence that follows feels unsettling, even hostile, like you've been left behind. But here's the hidden truth. Silence is rarely a void. More often, it's a realignment. It's the invisible pause before the shift, the space where unseen rearrangements take place. And though that pause is uncomfortable, it's also powerful. What if this very moment, even this message, isn't an accident? What if it's not coincidence at all, but a quiet reminder that a new chapter is already forming, even if you can't see it yet? Keep listening, because what feels like stillness now may soon reveal itself as the moment everything begins to turn. Have you noticed how the quietest stretches in life often feel the most unsettling? It's as though everything that once seemed steady suddenly halts. The motion you relied on disappears, and all you're left with is stillness. One morning, the plan you clung to dissolves. A door you were certain would swing wide instead slams shut. And then comes the silence, the kind that rings louder than noise, pressing on you, leaving you wondering if you missed something vital. Everyone else seems to keep moving, while you feel like you've stopped, almost invisible, almost forgotten. You check your emails, you rework your goals, you scan the horizon for signs of movement, but nothing stirs. That stillness can feel like standing on an empty train platform. No announcements, no timetable, no idea when the next train might come. Just the long, anxious wait of uncertainty. The hardest part is how easy it is to mistake those pauses as endings. We assume that when things stall, life has handed us a verdict, that the closed doors are final, that the silence means we've been cut off. But history, our own and humanity's, tells another story. How many times have we looked back and realized the moments that felt like absolute endings were actually the start of something else? In the fog of the moment, it's nearly impossible to recognize. When you can't see more than a step ahead, when each move feels like walking blind, the road forward looks invisible. But even in blindness, the path continues. The steps you take carry you, often without your awareness, closer to the turn you couldn't have found on your own. Picture holding the fragile pieces of the life you thought you had. Maybe the job you worked years for, the relationship you poured yourself into, or the dream you believed was yours to keep. Then suddenly, it crumbles. The job is gone. The relationship ends. The dream fades. The immediate reflex is harsh. I failed. I ruined this. But what if that wasn't failure at all? What if it was redirection? An unchosen one, yes, but one that was necessary. The loss doesn't feel lighter just because it's purposeful. Pain doesn't vanish with perspective. But sometimes letting go of what wasn't meant for you is the very thing that spares you from years of carrying weight that was never yours to bear. Here's what's fascinating. Research and lived experience alike show that people rarely grow most when everything is easy. Real transformation doesn't come when every box is ticked and every goal lines up. True change happens in disorientation, in the moments when your old map no longer works. That's when new ways of thinking get born. That's when choices you never considered come into focus. Resilience doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in confusion. So when you're standing in uncertainty, it doesn't mean you're broken. It might mean the soil is being turned beneath you, preparing for new growth. What looks like punishment may simply be a reset, a pause that recalibrates your inner compass. Just as your eyes adjust to darkness with time, your spirit learns to navigate the silence, slowly recognizing the outlines of a path you couldn't see before. That's why the silence you dread so much isn't your enemy. It's not evidence of abandonment. It's a signal. It's clearing away the noise that constant striving never could. From that perspective, the still places lose their edge of hopelessness. They stop looking like dead ends and start to resemble unseen thresholds, doorways hidden in shadow, waiting to be revealed. Underneath the apparent stillness, shifts are already taking place. What felt like holding you back may actually be carving out space for something you weren't ready to hold before. Struggle doesn't erase possibility. It's often the very ground where possibility is planted. The question is how you interpret it. Do you label the pause as failure, or can you hold steady long enough to let its purpose unfold? Because when you wait long enough, something remarkable happens. Guidance begins to appear, and not always in loud or dramatic ways. Sometimes it's in small nudges, subtle hints you almost dismiss. We expect answers to arrive like thunder, like flashing neon signs. But guidance is rarely theatrical. More often, it shows up in whispers. Think about it. You've probably been conditioned to wait for miracles that feel larger than life. A booming voice from the sky, a lightning bolt epiphany. But what if the answers were closer, quieter? What if they've been slipping into your life all along through subtle patterns and repeat appearances? The irony is these hints usually show up in the middle of your hardest seasons, precisely when you're too tired or too desperate to notice them. You want clarity, but what you get are coincidences so ordinary, you brush them off. And yet, those small sparks are often the very signals that carry you forward. Here's an example. Imagine you've been pushing endlessly at a door, a job application, a relationship, a project, pouring your energy into it even as it keeps rejecting you. Again and again, the door slams. Instinct says, I'm being denied. But what if it isn't denial at all? What if it's protection? What if those repeated closures are life shielding you from something that would have drained you if it had worked out? We don't always see the trap on the other side, but the refusal, as painful as it feels, may be saving us from a much greater cost. And then there are synchronicities, the strange alignments that feel too precise to be random. You wrestle with a decision silently, and suddenly, 3 different people, unconnected to each other, drop the same piece of advice into your lap. Was it coincidence? Or was it exactly what you needed to hear? Studies on meaning making even show that when people pay attention to these alignments, they feel more supported, less alone, more willing to step forward. The signs don't erase the struggle, but they reframe it. They remind you that you're not wandering without direction. Now pause and consider how many times you've overlooked these whispers. How many times were you waiting for fireworks when all you got was a spark? Maybe it was a casual conversation that echoed the idea you couldn't shake. Maybe it was an old passion resurfacing just when you thought it was gone for good. Maybe it was a chance encounter that planted a seed only years later you recognized as pivotal. These small threads aren't random. They're folded notes slipped quietly under the door, waiting for you to notice. And when you do notice, the scattered pieces start to form a pattern. The fog starts to lift. The way forward begins to emerge. Which brings us to timing. Why do breakthroughs arrive so much later than we beg for, yet somehow exactly when we most need them? It feels unfair. You do the work. You pour in effort. Still, nothing moves. Weeks blur into months, and the weight of waiting grows heavy. It's tempting to believe you've been forgotten, but waiting isn't absence. It's preparation. The problem is preparation doesn't feel like progress. It looks like delay. It feels like emptiness. But emptiness isn't always lack. Sometimes it's foundation. Just as seeds press their roots deep underground before a single green shoot breaks through, the silence is the unseen stage of growth. Think of someone hunting for work, sending resume after resume and hearing nothing. Each unanswered message feels like rejection of not just skills, but self. Confidence erodes, hope dims, and then suddenly a door opens. Not just another job, but the right one, the one that shifts everything. Looking back, the silence wasn't wasted at all. It was the only bridge that could carry them to this exact door. Every no cleared the way for the yes that mattered. That's the paradox of divine timing. It isn't late, it's layered. While you assume nothing is happening, countless moving pieces are falling into place behind the curtain. The opportunity you're waiting for may be forming right now in someone else's thoughts, in unseen connections, in timing you can't orchestrate. By the time it arrives, it doesn't limp into your life half-formed. It shows up ready, aligned, whole. And for that to happen, your role is to endure the wait without collapsing, to carry yourself in faith until alignment catches up. So maybe your silence isn't punishment, maybe it's protection, maybe it's not delay but direction, and maybe, just maybe, the very fact that these words are finding you right now is not random chance. Maybe this is a signal in itself, a quiet nudge reminding you that you are exactly where you need to be. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are not lost. the pause you've been wrestling against, the stillness that feels like it's holding you hostage, isn't empty space at all. It's preparation space. It's the soil where something hidden is forming, something that requires stillness before movement, quiet before clarity. Think about it. When architects design a structure, the longest part of the process is often the groundwork, the foundation. Nobody claps when the foundation is being poured. It doesn't look glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. But without it, the building cannot stand. In the same way, your life right now is digging foundations, laying unseen roots. The whispers you keep brushing aside, the repeated nudges you chalk up as coincidence, are not random events. They're markers, gentle signals left along your path, pointing you forward into what's next. Even when your eyes can't see it yet, trust those whispers. Trust that timing. Because your breakthrough isn't sitting in some faraway future, waiting for you to earn it or stumble upon it by accident. It's already in motion, already aligning, already building itself behind the curtain. You might not feel the momentum, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Imagine standing outside a theater before the curtain rises. To the audience, it looks still, quiet, uneventful. But backstage, there's movement everywhere. Props are being shifted, costumes are being adjusted, actors are stepping into place. All of that unseen effort is what makes the show possible. When the curtain finally lifts, your life works the same way. The silence you've been fearing may simply be the sound of backstage preparation, of pieces rearranging themselves to fit the story of your next chapter. What you call nothing happening may actually be everything aligning. The doors that closed weren't meant to punish you, they were meant to protect you. The people who left weren't proof of your inadequacy, but part of clearing space for connections that can actually walk with you into the next stage of your journey. And the waiting? That's not wasted time. That's time being woven into the fabric of what you'll need later. So you won't just touch your breakthrough, but actually be able to hold it. And this is the part we so often miss. The pauses are not passive. They are active seasons disguised as stillness. Think about the seed buried underground. To the eye, it looks like nothing is happening. But in reality, the soil is protecting it, the roots are spreading, and the unseen growth is preparing for a visible bloom. If you judged the seed too early, you'd call it a failure. You'd dig it up and assume it would never grow. But give it time, quiet, patient time, and you'll see that the silence was never emptiness. It was incubation. The same is true for you. The silence you're in right now isn't evidence of being forgotten. It's evidence of preparation so deep and necessary that it cannot be rushed. That job that hasn't shown up yet, that relationship that hasn't clicked into place, that dream that hasn't taken shape, they aren't missing because you failed. They're maturing in the unseen, waiting for the alignment that ensures they won't collapse the moment they arrive. And while it hurts, while it stretches your patience, while it makes you question everything, you need to know this. Silence is not the absence of progress. It's progress hidden in a form you don't yet recognize. So breathe. Stop panicking about being behind. You are not late. You are not running out of time. The universe doesn't measure your progress by the pace of others. It measures it by alignment, by readiness, by the moment when all the invisible threads finally tie together into something visible, tangible, undeniable. And that's why the silence matters. Because it's in this space that you're being shaped to recognize the whispers when they come, to trust the nudges when they repeat, to see the markers that point you forward. If everything came instantly, you'd never build the depth to notice the subtle guidance. You'd mistake convenience for alignment. But because of this silence, you're learning sensitivity. You're learning trust. You're learning how to move forward without needing to see the entire map. And that's not weakness. That's strength. That's spiritual maturity. That's life teaching you how to carry what's coming, not just receive it. So instead of fearing the silence, start listening to it. Instead of resisting the pause, start leaning into it. Because silence is not the end of your story. It's the rewriting of your story. It's not a void. It's a vessel. It's not a punishment. It's a protection, a preparation, and a promise all rolled into one. And if you can hold on, if you can trust that this moment is shaping you, you'll realize that your breakthrough isn't just ahead of you. It's already unfolding. It's closer than you've ever believed. It's not waiting, it's arriving.